first learned about Saltville 5 years ago when we took a small town vacation at that time. I was familiar with the cities of Bristol, Kingsport, and Johnson City because when I graduated from college so many years ago, I used to audit dairy plants in those areas. I was also familiar with Abingdon and the Barter Theater. When we researched our vacation 5 years ago, we learned about Saltville, a diamond in the rough. At least two different points in history, Saltville was a thriving community because of the tremendous value in salt. Not only do we need salt to remain healthy, salt was vital during the Civil War to preserve meat and aid in making horse saddles and leather boots for the soldiers. First, let's get a sneak peek into the museum before I'll give some statistics and information about Saltville.
Do you remember the saying, you're worth your weight in salt? Well, today we are at Saltville, Virginia, at the Museum of Middle Appalachia. And here we're going to learn about the people of Saltville who mined the salt and lived in Saltville.
The Museum of Middle Appalachians can be seen for a bargain price of $3 if you're 60 and older or $5 if you're under 60. It covers years from the Ice Age to the Space Age, or 30,000 years of history. What a bargain! Penny warmly greets you as you enter to pay. 5 years ago, she had told us she relocated to Saltville to take care of her aging father. When I inquired again this trip, she told us he had sadly passed away. After visiting the museum, which closes at 4, we drove across the street in an attempt to support small business owners. As you can see, many of the shops were permanently closed. We spoke to one elderly businesswoman who told us of the difficulty in gaining business back after the pandemic. The ice cream parlor seemed to be the busiest spot on this street. Now for some history of Saltville. Millions of years ago, the area around Saltville was submerged in salt water. These deposits fed woolly mammals, some of the first humans, and enticed Europeans to trade with Native Americans. There were two major Civil War battles here over salt. The first one was October 2nd, 1864, while the second one was 2 months later. This is a sad part in history, and you may want to research the Saltville Massacre. These were pivotal battles. Saltville mines supplied at least much of the salt to the Confederate side in the summer of 1863. Salt has a number of purposes. First, it is vital in remaining healthy. Secondly, during the Civil War, it helped to preserve the meat for the soldiers as well as create the saddles and the boots that the soldiers wore during the war. It was a very important commodity. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, the Olin Corporation had a company town here. It was there roughly 80 years, and it was a family-friendly town. The town covered everything from housing to doctor's visits to schools. Everybody who lived there loved it, and you could see a recreation of the town at the museum. In 1972, the Olin Corporation closed this chemical plant after nearly 80 years because they could not afford the cleanup of the Holston River after the newly created federal EPA that required the cleanup of this river. After that closure, many people were laid off, but some new companies did move in at that time, and most people commuted to their jobs. Now I'm going to give you some of the demographics of Saltville today. These numbers were taken from the Census Reporter. The population of Saltville is 2,225 residents. The median age is 35.9 years. 97% of the residents are white, while 2% are Hispanic. 56% are male. The median income in Saltville is $41,759. 61% of the population makes less than $50,000 a year, while 31.5% live in poverty. Of those in poverty, 49% are children, while 16% are seniors, 65 and up. The average time to commute to work is 19.5 minutes. There are 834 households with an average of 2.7 people per household. 52% are married. The median value of owner-occupied housing is $87,000. 8.5% moved since last year. That means that roughly 91% are the same people who've lived in the same house. Of the people who have moved into Saltville, only 1% of these come from different states. 77% of residents graduated from high school, while 9.6% hold a bachelor's degree. 9.5% are veterans. As we drove away, you could only imagine that these white houses that you see were part of the company town that was a thriving community. If you're anywhere near this area, be sure and visit the museum and the local shops. The people who lived there greeted us warmly and are willing to tell us their history and their family history. It was an enjoyable afternoon, and we loved the scenery as we drove away. Enjoy the rest of this video, and if you liked it, please hit like, subscribe, and notification, and look for our other videos of our wonderful vacation through North Carolina and Virginia. Until I see you again, take it easy.